Welcome, guys. Welcome to Box Football. And let's talk about my team, Arsenal. We are good here. We just played Fulham yesterday, won 3-0. Willian came in. He bagged a hat-trick of assists. I say 2 hat-trick. Arteta is going to be the manager of the year. Aubameyang just signed. Gabriel comes in and scores. And then he's pulling strings. Granit Xhaka is the best midfielder in the world. It's all good at the helm. Arsenal are going to win the league. Now let's just get back to reality, Jack. Yeah.
I think what's crazy is a couple of those things. Obviously, you're joking. Some of those things aren't that mad. Like Arteta potentially being manager of the year. I don't see why not. Aubameyang top goal scorer again. I don't see. You know what I mean? Top goal scorer. I don't see why
not. I feel like with Arsenal, I was on Twitter yesterday, and there was the fun factor was there. I felt like we're already at Christmas. We're top of the table, and we're looking good. 7 points clear, and it is the first game of the season. We did play a team that just came with Fulham, who have been a yo-yo team for so many years. Not too many Premier League proven players in there. Yes, we were very, very good, but I just feel everyone needs to relax. Personally, I feel like we still have a lot to improve at and a lot to bring in.
Yeah, but the one thing I'd say though is I feel like what happens for Arsenal fans, and you'd be a better gauge of this than me, but Arsenal get way too excited when they shouldn't, and then get really depressed when they shouldn't. Like there's not a clear oh, we're doing great, so let's be happy about it. Usually if Arsenal are doing okay or good, then they're unhappy. And then when they are doing well, they do what you've just said and they go, oh, let's just pump the brakes. For me, there are no real red flags why Arsenal fans and Arsenal should not be excited for this year, for the year after, and for the year after that. So I know in our predictions video, I said, I think there are 5 teams that can win the league this year. Now, Arsenal are bottom of that list, but I still put them in a list with other teams who I think can win the league. Arteta, I mentioned this in the other video, I think against weaker teams, you'll be able to be creative enough to break down, the bank of 4, bank of 5, or bank of 5, bank of 4, whatever teams decide to play. And then in the big games, Arteta has already proven, FA Cup final, I know Community Shield's not a huge game, but the Community Shield as well, that Arteta is smart enough to potentially get his tactics onto his team and prevent another team from doing what they want to do. The transfer market and the transfer window is still open. Arsenal still need to get rid of some deadwood players. They could still sign a Coutinho on loan. They could sign a Thomas Partey. They could sign, whatever kind of positions they need. Everything is trending in the right direction. And for the first time in a long time, I think that Arsenal fans, just like Man United and Chelsea fans are now, have every right to be excited going forward that there might be a title challenge here. Now, I still think Fulham away, first game of the season, refreshed squad, refreshed players, the new manager, sprinkling in of that feeling of a new manager and that kind of buzz you get from having a new manager in is still there. But I think it's got the legs to continue for a few years.
Now, Jack, I am one of the most optimistic fans. I know you're listening to me right now. I don't sound that optimistic. But I'm very optimistic when it comes to a season. I hate when people talk about in the season, oh, Liverpool were 30 points ahead of you, so you have a 30-point gap to meet. No, you start level on every season. So you have the equal amount of points that Liverpool have right now. But when I look at the quality of the team, there are nice bits there. Our back 4 or back 5 is looking as strong as it could possibly be. But my problem is that there's still a lot of players there that people point at the finger at last season that should not be here this season. I'm looking at players like Mustafi. I'm not sure he's up for it. And as great as he was coming to the end, I don't think he's good enough to play for Arsenal anymore. Socrates, we all know about him being links away. Not the biggest fan of. He needs to go. Then I'm looking at Rob Holding. I like Rob Holding, but I'm not sure can I rely on him for a whole season to get fit. David Luiz, you know that he always has a mistake in him. Gabriel is good, but he's not proven yet. Saliba is young. So there's still a lot of problems in there. And then I move on to the center of the midfield. I like Dani Ceballos. Granit Xhaka has proven everyone wrong, But my thing is that we still need someone in there that's going to actually stop the team from going forward and actually hitting us properly. You know, I remember last season, a lot of times I think it was Brighton. It was Brighton at home. Brighton, in the space of like 4 minutes, they literally went through the Arsenal midfield, time in and time out. And I was thinking there, we cannot afford to have this happen a lot. So we need someone to come in that position. If Thomas Partey doesn't come in, then we will have a problem. Because it's all good doing it against Fulham. But when we have to go away to certain teams like Everton, who have strengthened very well, we're definitely going to struggle. I then look at going forward. Yes, it looked good with Willian playing well and like getting assists. Aubameyang's going to score goals regardless. But for me, we don't have that consistent playmaker that's going to create chances for us. Willian, I'm sorry to say this, but I cannot rely on him to be that consistent and get me 15 assists and like 10 goals a season. It's not happening. So there's a lot of things that we're going to have to look at and get right. A center attacking midfielder for me is for sure, and definitely a defensive midfielder in there.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think the one thing I'll say is a lot of the time people underestimate, how people play differently under different managers. So I think whatever anybody's opinion is of some of these players, it's very easy for a manager to come in, know what makes a player tick, and you know this better than most people, probably most of our listeners, better than I do for sure. That the right arm around somebody or the right relationship or communication can really bring out the best in somebody. Now, I look at somebody like Lucas Torreira was one of Arsenal's best players. First name on the team sheet for a 2 or 3 month period, I think a year or two ago, right? He was breaking up play, doing all those things that kind of a midfielder like a Thomas Partey would do. I mean, he's a little more diminutive, but he was a real bulldog in that midfield. Then, for whatever reason, it's just fallen out. And all I'm saying is, I think that, yes, like I said, the transfer window is still open and we don't know what's going to happen. Arsenal may have a loan for somebody like Coutinho with an option to buy.
Coutinho's already confirmed that he's staying at Barcelona.
Okay. But anyway, some player like that, the creative player, Aouar, I believe his name is, from Lyon, I know has been linked as well. So, there's a good example. There's something there.
Listen, Arteta came in to me and has given the club a fun fact that we haven't had since like the early years of Arsene Wenger. Like, it feels like I'm looking forward to watch Arsenal week in and week out. The players seem to be having fun. And then like I've seen things against Fulham where Dani Ceballos and Eddie Nketiah had a bit of a scuffle, and I was fine with it. Totally fine with it because that's totally a part of football. That that sort of factor, a bit of feistiness that Arteta's brought into the team. I'm so happy to see that. But my thing is this right now, is that I'm not looking at winning the league. Challenging would be nice, but I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking of, can we get into the top 4 and can we compete in the cup competitions? That is the stall that I set off for this team. Week in and week out, can we go to teams like Man City and compete in the league? Can we go to a place like Anfield and compete, Old Trafford, and get a victory there, which we haven't done in so many years in the Premier League? That is what is going to tell me that is this team good enough to actually do it in years to come.
The early stages for me suggest that you can. Like I said, I know the Community Shield isn't a lot to shout about, although Jose Mourinho would tell you otherwise. But that FA Cup victory, there's something in there. You've really done something there. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know Man City maybe had an off day, but that wasn't because Man City just played badly. Arteta took the steps in a huge game, in a cup final game, to make the changes necessary for Pep to overthink things a little bit. Like that's kind of a narrative that's going on now with Pep. And it's shown me, he played Man City and Liverpool, both of them at neutral venues. So it hasn't just been at the Emirates with this great home form. And he's shown that he's capable of winning big games. Now, it's early days and people will figure out how to play Arteta. That's how this works. It's the rub of getting a new manager, like we've already talked about. But to me, I don't know. I think the signs are positive. And like I said, I think any Arsenal fan in a position to be, whoa, let's pump the brakes. For the first time, things are going well. For the first time in ages, I should say. have a bit of optimism and go into it and go, you know what, the top four that's so guaranteed with Chelsea and Man United and the two other better teams, maybe not. Man United stutter, Chelsea stutter, even Man City stutter. Who knows what Arsenal could do? Liverpool just got away with that Leeds game. We'll talk about that in another video, but, you know.
Now, Jack, I'm having so much fun hearing you talk all this loveliness about Arsenal. Yes. But I have to be realistic right now. And just in just short statement right now, what is the ceiling for Arsenal this season, Jack?
They could win the league. I'm not, like, I said this in the other video. I really did. And I'm not trying to get attention here or be nuts. They're the fifth most likely team to win the league.
I'm going to start crying.
But I still think they're one of those 5 teams who can win the league. It stops for my 6th position, which I think I might have had as Everton or Spurs. I can't remember who, but or maybe Wolves. Anyway, but they are a team that I think could win the league because Liverpool will, I would think, take a step off. They've not spent the money to improve, as you've talked about. Ferguson always bought a player, freshen up the squad. Now Thiago comes in, that changes things, but as of right now, it doesn't. I don't know what Man City are going to do. They've lost players like David Silva. Aguero's a year older. You know, Ake has come in, but I don't think they'll be as good as years past. United have improved greatly, but we still don't really know what their ceiling is. Chelsea have got a bunch of new names in. If Arsenal can win the easy games and be competitive in the hard games like Arteta has already proven, and convincingly beat teams like Fulham away from home, which has always been Arsenal's problem, tricky away games has always been Arsenal's downfall, I don't see why week by week points are being built up, you're within 2 points of whichever team are winning, 3 points, 1 point. Then we find out February, March time comes around, Arsenal are top of the league by a point. And then it's just a case of, right, do you have that winner's mindset? Can you keep that going? I'm just saying, that's the ceiling for me. My prediction is still 5th. I'm not going to change that. What I saw against Fulham is what I expected to see against Fulham. But that's how high I am on the Arsenal team. I think they look great.
Jack, you just showed me in my head what I would love to play out when I was in bed dreaming. That is the way everything would play out to me. Again, if this was maybe 2015, I would have said, there's a chance of winning this league. But Man City are always going to be strong. Liverpool are always going to be strong. Chelsea spent stupid amounts of money this year. Manchester United. Everton are kind of in the mix. We don't know what's going to happen with them and Tottenham with Mourinho. In fact, you never know. The Premier League is so strong and so competitive. That's why I just can't say they're going to challenge, because there's so much in the way of stopping them from actually challenging. But I would love to see that happening. I do think that we're going to finish 5th as long as we challenge in cup competitions. That for me would be a great competition, and maybe get top 4 out. That would be amazing. But yeah, guys, if you want to see our predictions for the Premier League, I'm going to leave it up there. It's going to also be in the link. Just click on the thing, subscribe, and take a look at all our videos. Thank you for watching. Can Arsenal win the league? Comment down below, and we will see you next time.